everyone, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a little different. Brian and I are headed to Vegas at the end of the week. We went to Vegas around March last year too, so it's almost been a year since our last trip, but he really likes it and it's for his birthday, so we're gonna go and have fun. But I thought it would be fun to show you the look that I did the last time we were in Vegas. So about a year ago and at the very beginning of my makeup journey. So I pulled out the palette that I used, which is just this rose gold from e.l.f. And I'm gonna show you what I did because it's quite different than what I do now. Before we begin, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me, and we will get started. So I did go ahead and prime my eyelids. I used my MAC paint pot, and this is the same thing that I used in Vegas because eyeshadow was one of the very first things that I wanted to learn about. So I did know to have an eyeshadow primer so that things didn't crease on my eyelids, especially with how hooded my eyes are and how many creases there are. I knew this was important. So we did go ahead and do that. And next we're gonna dive into my e.l.f. Rose Gold eyeshadow palette. So I was obviously scared of the darker colors. These ones haven't been touched, but I really liked these ones down here. Those are the ones with the biggest divots in them. But I mean, overall for a beginning eyeshadow palette, this one is really good. They're easy to blend and e.l.f. is super affordable too. So I feel like this was a good choice for me. Plus, I love purple, so. I am just gonna start with a fluffy blending brush and we're gonna go into the shade right here. And we're gonna just start that in the crease and blend it above to make it a transition color. Oh, that's a shimmer shade. Apparently I just used shimmery shades. I didn't know that. That's weird. It doesn't look like it's a shimmer in the pan. And they're quite a bit more powdery than I remember. I mean, it's still good formula, it's just a bit more powdery. And this color doesn't seem to have a lot of pigment, it's just got the shine, so it just looks shiny now. It looks like I did dabble a little bit into the darkest matte purple there is, so we are gonna try that one now. I'm gonna have some very shimmery eyelids today. And I'm just gonna build that up on the outer third. Yeah, see, I like that color. I was probably terrified of it when I first started makeup, but that seems like a better color than the first one I used. But I very much like sparkle and shimmer and glitter and things like that, so I bet I didn't even realize that that first shade was like that, or that the formulas were different for the colors, because I mean, in eyeshadow palettes you typically get a good range of mattes, shimmers, metallics, glitters even. Just depends on what kind of eyeshadow palette you get, but I think I actually just want to put this all over the lid. It's not a super dark color, but I think I just want it everywhere. I like it. I think it looks pretty on top of that shimmer too. Gosh, I'm judging myself pretty hard, and then the further I get into it, I'm like, maybe I didn't screw up so bad when I first started. I'm gonna go ahead and do that on this side too. I think I'm doing things out of order because I used to do my foundation first. Really, back then, I didn't use a whole lot on the face anyways, so we'll just continue with the eyes and you'll see there's not much to the face. I don't even think I used bronzer. Yeah, I think I had like light colored eyes, light sparkly eyes, and then just like a very pale face with maybe a little blush and chapstick on. Now I'm gonna go into a flat shader brush and we're gonna go into this lightest purple shimmer. This is the one with the biggest divot, so I assume that's the one that I liked the most. And I'm just gonna put that on the inner portion of my eye here. And I mean, it's working quite well with the brush. It looks the same as the first color I used, which was also shimmery. I don't know, maybe, I guess you can tell it's a little more purple and up here is a little more champagne-y. I think I'm just gonna put it everywhere. That's the best route for this look. And then I'm gonna go back into our first blending brush. I'm not gonna pick any more product because there is plenty of shimmer on my lids, but I'm just gonna blend the edges and make sure the shimmers are blended together. I do think it was a good idea to lay that matte purple everywhere first. Well, there is this kind of more goldy shimmer. I think I'm gonna try to pop that right in the center. I don't know. I Just give it a little more definition, maybe. I don't know if you can really see it. It's hard for me to even see it, but we'll go ahead and match the other eye. I'm just gonna use the blending brush one more time and just blend around that goldy shimmer. I put on there just to make sure it's all seamless. I don't know, I can't really see it. I don't think it did a whole lot. I think this is probably the extent of this eyeshadow palette for me. I think I really only used from the light shimmer to the darker matte purple, but that's not really dark because like even the light one doesn't have any divots in it. But yeah, this is what my eyelids would look like while I was in Vegas last year. Just purple shimmer, basically. I didn't know that until I reached back into this. Oh, and I didn't used to put eyeshadow under my eye, so this is just how it would be. I don't remember what kind of mascara I had a year ago, basically, but currently I'm liking the Ilia Limitless mascara, so I'm just gonna use this one real fast. Okay, for primer, I have had two for over a year now, and these are the two that I know that I started off with. It's the Mercier Pure Canvas Hydrating Primer. I had the mini size for a really long time before I upgraded to the full size. And then I also love to pair it with the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. So these are the two that I used all the time. And I've had them for a long time, so I know that they're from back then. And I just put the Laura Mercier one, the hydrating one, everywhere. And for the e.l.f. Putty Primer, I was so proud of myself. I hit pan on this. This is like the only thing I've hit pan on. It made me so happy. So for this one, I just take it up with my nail and I put it in my T-zone. So on both sides of my nose, down my nose, a little bit above my eyebrows on my forehead, like in between them, and then just a tiny bit on my chin as well. Just the areas where I have the most pores, I like to fill them in. And I really like to get it in around my nose because I know it's hard for me to get foundation in there. For the life of me, I cannot remember what foundation I used, so today I thought the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow one would be a good option. I mean, I had no idea what like the difference between like a matte foundation versus a glowy foundation was because I didn't understand that I had oily skin back then. So I just kind of used whatever I wanted. But now that it's winter time, I've learned that this Pro Glow one and other luminous foundations I can actually use in the winter time because my skin tends to dry out, which I didn't know that before. So I'm just kind of winging it with foundation really. But I know I liked to lean towards like luminous and hydrating ones, which I didn't figure out don't really work for me during that time, especially because it was March, so like it was pretty toasty in Vegas at that time. So like we'd walk around and by the end of the night, I have a picture, my face is gross. Like I've got makeup on, but I'm oily. But yeah, I didn't really understand what kind of skin type I had and what products went with it. One of my first concealers was actually my Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is why I love it so much, is because it was one of my first and it's never steered me wrong. But Vegas was actually the first time where I figured out how to blend out the concealer and how to set it with powder. Because before, like, I never got that blurring aspect of a powder over a concealer. And Vegas was the first time I actually got that. And I was like so impressed with myself, and mine was like, I'll meet you at the roulette table. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my makeup. But I mean, I was so new to it, it took me so long. So I don't blame him for doing that. But even though I didn't do everything, it took me forever, and I don't know why. I did not use concealer to highlight my nose because I didn't know how to do that. But the powder that I have used is similar to my Nars, where my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, it was one of the first powders that I picked up, and I actually picked it up in the mini size first and went through the whole thing before I purchased the full size. But I mean, it's one of those products where I think I just got lucky and picked one that I knew was popular, and I happened to fall in love with it, and it's never steered me wrong since. So, but I didn't use a brush to set my face. I used my sponge for everything. wasn't comfortable using brushes all the time. Like, I knew eye brushes were important, and I knew the highlighter and blush brush were important, and but like I didn't use them for powder. So like later in the day when most people would like touch up their face with powder to soak up all the excess oils, like I didn't know about that, so I didn't have a powder brush, and therefore it just looked extremely oily all the time. I did go ahead and put on my lower lash line because, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't put eyeshadow on my lower lash line when I first started. This was it. But for eyebrows, I still used my Benefit Gimme Brow. Well, let me rephrase that. I started with Eyebrow Pencils. I had the goof proof one from Benefit, but figured out that it was, one, it was the wrong color, and two, like I had block eyebrows, blocks. And then I moved on to the e.l.f. pencil, and I love that. I went through like 3 of those before I decided I did not like having block eyebrows. So then I moved on to this Benefit Gimme Brow Gel. So that's how I'm gonna do them today because I don't have an eyebrow pencil now. While I get this put on, please enjoy the brow intermission. So let's finish up the face. Again, I was kind of scared of brushes, so I didn't, like, blush and bronzer had to grow on me a little bit. So I'm not quite sure that I was even wearing blush or bronzer when I went to Vegas, but I knew I loved highlight. But just so I don't look funky all day, I am going to put a little bit of my Aesthetica bronzer on. This one is super pale, so it might help with a little bit of definition, but it's not gonna be like my bold bronzy bronzers. So I am just gonna warm up the cheeks a little bit. And I mean, first of all, I didn't even use this bronzer until I was like, I should probably use that because it came in a boxy charm. And at that point, I was only using my butter bronzer. But right now, with how pale I am and it being at winter time, this one's doesn't have too much pigment to make me look super bronzy like my Essence ones that I picked up, or my Cover FX one. Although I really like to look that bronze, and hopefully in the summer I can like actually get that tan. But for now, this is probably closer to what I looked like with very pale bronzer on and pale in general. Let me rephrase myself. It wasn't that I was scared of brushes. It was just more along the lines of I never knew which brush to use. So I just would skip steps because I didn't know what brush to use. So I had to warm up to blush. I don't even know if you can see it. I put on a very small amount of my M Cosmetics, my Magic Hour blush. And just because this one's a pretty light pink, and for you to really see it, you do have to build it up. So I put on a pretty light layer. Again, it's pretty light to me, so if I can barely see it, I don't know if you can in the camera. And I did really like highlight, so I'm actually gonna use one of my newer highlights. This is a Becca highlight, and this is in the shade Opal. And when I first started using highlight, I definitely had the line. I didn't blend it in, I just whoop, line. I'm not gonna do that today because I don't like that, but that is exactly what I have. And I would make it noticeable. Like, I loved highlight, so I would like put on a blinding amount, and then it would just be this line. Now I kind of like to buff it a little bit more into the skin. That way it will blend down and into the blush and bronzer and not leave such a harsh line. But I did like to put it on the tip of my nose. I used to put it like all the way down the bridge of my nose, but now I just like to put it like between my eyes basically. And I do still like to put it on the Cupid's bow. The other thing I like to do with my highlight is I like to make it my inner corner highlight. And I just pop it in there and make it extremely bright. And then I didn't have eyeshadow on my lower lashes, so it just, I don't know, to me it looked funky, like it just randomly stopped where it needed to connect to something on the lower lashes. And I didn't know what finishing powder was, so if I had any like harsh edges between the bronzer, blush, or highlight, like my line of highlight, that's how it would be, because I didn't know what finishing powder was to like blend it out a little bit. One of my first setting sprays was my MAC Fix Plus. This is the original one. I haven't actually used all of it. I'm close, but I haven't used all of it. I started purchasing more and trying more of them, so this one kind of got left to the sidelines. So are going to spray. And last but not least, I'd use my Rosebud Salve for my lips because I didn't know what lipstick was, let alone what lip liners were, and lip gloss to me was just sticky. Like, I was not willing to try anything because it was just sticky. So it was just me and my Rosebud, and then I'd stick it in my pocket and be on my way. And then finally meet up with Ryan, and he'd be like, that took you quite a while. And I was like, I know I did. So here's the finished look. I mean, it's not a bold face by any means. It's pretty natural, actually. I mean, like, even the eyeshadow, it just kind of looks like I have a purple shimmer on instead of like 3 different colors. I mean, I had fun. It's fun to reminisce on how you grow. Like, I'm looking at myself now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've come so far, and I'm proud of myself for that. But at the same time, like, I've also expanded like my eyeshadow look, so I'm not scared to wear darker colors now. Like, I totally wanted to go into this darkest shade right here. No, it's not black because black does still scare me, but it's like a really dark purple with flecks in it. Shimmery flecks. I thought that would have been really pretty like out here, but I just went with what I did. That way we didn't jump too far ahead. But the purpose of this was just to show you guys, like, everybody grows, especially if you keep practicing and collecting items and wanting to learn about it. I think that's the biggest thing for me for this, on why I started this, is that I just wanted to learn so much more about it. And I've picked up a couple books now that I'm trying to get through, and I'm still just having a lot of fun with it. So whether you are a beginner like I was last year, or if you're intermediate, which how I feel now, or like you're professional, which that is awesome. Don't be scared to explore new things. Don't be scared to just learn. I think that's the beauty of it. Plus, I mean, if you don't like it, just wash it off. It's makeup, it's not forever. But that is all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or think I could have done something more, please let me know below. Other than that, I will see you on Tuesdays and Fridays when I post 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.